Hello everyone, this is Aaron again. Kind of excited here today. Guess we'll do a little bit of a remix, as I think it's called. I had 3 guns on my list of guns that I really wanted to purchase. And I'm glad to say that today I've just received one of them, and I'll talk about that in a moment. But the other 2 is the P15. And I understand that Diana is going to be coming out with that gun fairly soon. I'm just going to see what the price of it is. So the P15 may be coming to me. And the other one is the Puncher Breaker. It's a toss-up between those 2 guns. I don't think I'm going to buy both of them. I don't think I'm going to buy the Puncher Breaker and the P15. The P15s have some things I love, the portability and all that. The Puncher has some things I love. The fact that it's got a power wheel on it, you can make some adjustments on it to your pellet speeds and that sort of thing, and I'm just up in the air about that gun. But there's one gun I am not up in the air about it. That's the one I have here in front of me. And I want to add one more gun to that, and only because a couple of my subscribers have asked me to try to review it. There's a gun out now called a Hatsan Flash Pup. And I've looked at the gun. I haven't been able to have a chance to hold it, but it looks like an excellent gun, coming in around $400. It's a bullpup, 8 pounds, so it's a lot, really kind of light compared to Hatsans, which are pretty heavy guns. So I might add that Flash Pup to this. But right now, today we're talking about the Gamo Urban. Ever since I shot Ken's Gamo Urban, I fell in love with this gun. And as you know, I argued for it to be called the AK47 gun. Because of all of the things it brings. The low price, the dependability. We've been shooting Ken's quite a while. It's made well, it functions well, it hits the target. And it came in for Ken right around $359. Now for me, and I'm doing this video, I'm doing it real quick right now because I just got this gun like a few minutes ago. I'm doing this because of this. Black Friday is coming up. And I want you guys out there who are looking for guns to make sure you keep your eyes and your nose to the grindstone as far as following up on all of the people that are selling guns to see what their Black Friday events are going to be. I got this gun shipped for $170 from Amazon. Yes, 170 shipped to my door. Now, what they're running there at this particular, what they were running, they'll probably run it again. That's why I'm on here, and others may run it too. This gun normally sells for $399. They had it on sale for $230 shipped. But if you applied for a Visa card with them and you were approved, they gave you another $60 off the gun. So all of a sudden, you're paying $170 for a gun. That's unbelievable by anybody's standards. $170 for a PCP, and one that is, I think, is as good as the Gamo. So, I hate unboxing. I ain't gonna lie to you. I think they're the stupidest thing in the world. But since I'm gonna add a little review to this, I think I'm gonna go ahead and do it. But, because I'm excited about it. All I've done so far with this gun is just cut the seals. So, we're gonna open it together. But this is, and the thing about it is, I ordered this thing on Sunday, and it got here 2 days later. Amazon gets their stuff out and gets it to you quickly. So anyway, the first thing we see here is the manual, the Gamo manual. Seems to have all the stuff you need explained to you about the gun and how to set it up and that. So, manual, and here we have the I guess that's the warranty card that you would send in on it. Let's see what the warranty is later. Now for the opening of the gun. Okay, first thing you got to see when you open it is a field probe and a couple of and some O-rings, and they don't seem to be O-rings for the field probe. And I think this is going to be lithium grease probably in the pad. Pop the gun open. Guess I can remove the box now. Then we come up with the prize of the day. The Gamo Urban in 2.2. The phone always rings when I'm doing this sort of thing, and most of the time I send it back. But I'm gonna just let it ring and let someone answer it. That's gonna be on part of the video. Okay. It's packaged pretty well. Got a protective plastic case over it. I gotta do a thorough cleaning of it. But I'm telling you, this gun here is, I picked it up and I shot it and I heard it and I saw its accuracy and the way it functioned and just how great it was for everything. So this is my puncher breaker. I am so excited. And I will tell you this right now. You can argue with me all day long. This is the best gun in the world for the price. If there's anyone out there that can top this, for all of the features, for how light it is, for how quiet it is, for how accurate it is, and it seems to be well made. Like I said, something may break later, but both of my FXs are broken on me. But for $170, I will argue all day long that this is the best gun that you can purchase. So really, this video, I've already did a video on this gun, and I think I'm going to add a little bit to the end of this one. Maybe go out and shoot some targets with it to close out. But this is just to say to you guys, Christmas is coming up. Black Friday's coming up. Some people are writing me and said, you know, that responding and saying they can't get a gun right now, it's a little bit too expensive. I'm telling you this. The air pump costs more than the gun. And the air pump, you can get the air pump, I've seen it online for $197. If you can get this and get the card and then use the card for this and then get rid of it if you want to or whatever, that's up to you. But $170 for this, $195 for that, and maybe let's say a $30 scope. $400, and you're totally in the ball game. And you got a gun that's high, extremely high on my list at $400, and it just jumped over the moon at $170. Well, before I go any further with this Gamo video review, let me talk about the first thing we do when we get a gun. You know, it would be really nice if all guns came set up with swivels on them, but we know that most of them don't, and in this case it doesn't either. So the first thing we do when we get a gun is we're going to put swivels on it. We got to be able to shoulder strap this thing. This is going to be a hunting gun for me. So I got to be able to throw it over my shoulder. But what I probably won't do is I probably won't throw it over my shoulder. We don't do it anymore. Now we use the front harnesses so you can just bring the gun right up and shoot it, and no more carrying it that way. So with that, I can actually put on one spike. And with this, depending on how much room I had, I can actually put a spike on the side here. And I'll have the gun drop to right here and bring it up, rather than putting in the normal spikes to go front and back. I'm going to experiment a little bit on this gun to find out where best it goes. But that's one. Then the second thing we got to do, we got to put a bipod on this thing, okay? Because it doesn't come with a bipod mount. That's another thing I wish these guns would come with. All guns should come with a bipod mount, because most of us are going to put bipods on them. I seldom see guns that don't have a bipod, that they at least put on at some of the time, and swivels. So we're about to take this thing out of here and put some swivels in it. And I do want to show you this gun taken apart. So let's just do that real quick. I think this is the right one. Hope I always get wrong with the 4mm, another 3. That will do it. Okay. Those bolts are the same length, so I don't have to worry about any placement on them. Doesn't seem to have another bolt in it, but it doesn't seem to want to come loose either. Snug fit. Yeah, I got all the bolts up. There we go. Okay. The action is out. I will say this thing here is very light. Since we won't be working with the action anymore, I'm just going to lay that over there. And what we're going to be doing is placing a bipod on it. And one thing they were good about doing, they put a screw place in here for you to tap through to put the mount on. So they did at least see four thick enough to see that. So we're going to go ahead and drill this thing, and I'll be back in a second to show you the next steps in it, okay? Okay, we're taking it outside and we drilled a hole in it, and nicely they make a little place here for you to actually drill a hole, so you got to play around with it. There's one there, and there's also one back here, probably for a swivel or a bipod, whichever. But we kind of put this together, kind of cut off a little piece and drilled a hole in it to make this, because I didn't actually have one here in the house, but I got so much other stuff, I just went ahead and made one. So now all we have to do is hook our bipod to it. This is never as easy as it looks. Pop that on, and from now on, we never have to lay down gun down again. We can do all our work on it. Okay. The next thing is to make sure, put this cylinder in and make sure it's not touching that screw down there. Okay, this little piece here fits down into there. This little plastic piece has to be in place. Then everything pops together just right. Okay, all we're gonna do is put our screws back in. Oops. Put our screws back in, and we're on to the second portion of this. So I'm not gonna record this part of me putting these screws back in. We'll move on to the next section right after this. Okay, having put that screw back into place, we now have our gun set up for the bipod. So usually for us, the first thing we want to do, Ken and I, when we get a gun, we put a bipod on it. It takes care of all of the cleaning, all the other stuff you got to do, even the shooting. Anytime I have to do anything to this gun, I can set it just up like this and do my work on it without laying on my lap or whatever. So bipods are good for a number of reasons. And I don't have one of those fix-it stands that I see people sitting their guns on and working on. So these bipods work very, very well. And there are two types, you know. People ask me about that on there, on my channel, in their comments. Okay, this is the standard one. This is one I started out with. I think these things here are like, I've seen them from $18 to $29. They're spring loaded. The downside to them is that they won't lean forward. You know, if you wanted to get a little bit more weight on the front of this gun here, all you do is touch the bipod and it'll flip forward to there and give you a lower profile and everything. So this one is better, but I see a lot of people, especially guys that are shooting the powder burner, still using these. I moved to these a long time ago, and the reason I moved to them is that all of a sudden now you can get these things. I think they're like almost $300 if you get the Atlas, but they got the Atlas knockoffs on eBay now. I've seen them as cheap as $29. So this is probably the one you want to go with, and if you got the money, get the Atlas, because I'm telling you this straight up, I've seen Atlases, the tolerances on them and everything is much better than this. But you know, you're looking at another $250 for that high tolerance. But if you have the money, I say go with the best. If you don't, like me, the knockoff works just as well. So let's move on to the next section of this thing. Okay, the next thing we want to do, I did skip one part though, because I'm not sure how I want to set this, the carry up on this gun here. I don't want to be the sling. I don't want the sling to be the old style throw over your shoulder. So I got to figure out where to mount that. But so we're going to skip that and go to the second side. The second thing we do once we get our gun, before cleaning it, and cleaning is the most important thing I think, is this gun here. If you buy one, it comes in dovetail. Okay, so Picatinny is not going to work on it. So I've gone ahead and got a Picatinny one here, and of course I have the adjustment so I can use the side shot on all my guns now. You can buy one side shot and buy all of the scope mounts for $50 and put them on all your scopes, and then you only have to have one mount for every gun, because you can't shoot two at once, right? So next thing we're going to do, we're going to drop this on here. I'm not going to video this part because it's real boring of me trying to get it fitted, but I'll come right back once it's fitted. Okay, now we got our scope on, but we're still not finished with the scope. Now is the most important part of putting the scope on, and that is this, eye relief. Every scope has a different eye relief. If you buy, a lot of the scope that people are buying for air guns are not really made for air guns. They're made for high-powered rifles and that sort of thing. And so the eye relief can be up to 4 inches. You don't really need nearly that much for these guns because these guns don't have any recoil. But nevertheless, it's there and we have to deal with it as air gunners. So this is what you want to do. Don't make the mistake of setting this thing up for bench rest. Don't make that mistake, because if you're a hunter, if you're only shooting bench rest, then set your eye relief up right here. Put your chin about where it goes, where it normally goes, and go ahead and set this scope up for there. But if you're a hunter, no, because 90% of your shots, if you're a hunter, unless you're just practicing, are going to be off the shoulder. And when you're shooting off the shoulder with this gun, your eye release have to match it. Okay. And right now I have the side shot on here. Let me take the side shot off because it's making it a little bit difficult for me to make these adjustments. So that's the thing about this scope is this thing, it comes off so easy. Just unloosen this. If you remember to pop up this plastic thing, off it comes. That's one of the really nice things about that side shot. It has some drawbacks, but that's one of the nice things. So now you want to hold it up to your eye, and don't just bring it up and start doing this. Bring it up and see a target out there, bring it up, aim it at that target, and see what it feels like. I see right now this is a little bit too far off. I'll work the scope back, bring it up again. That looks pretty good right there. Make sure that you can move your head around and not see any wobble in there. So that's about where it is. That's about set for me. Right there. So then you're just going to tighten it down. Again, I'll cut this back and turn it on for the next section. Okay, we're back again. And we got it set up for the perfect eye relief for our shooting habits. Now all we got to do is just tighten this down and go on to the next section. But the thing is this. Another thing, I don't have to do it with this scope because this scope was on another gun, so I've already done it. But one of the things you really got to do is you got to make sure that when you're shooting your gun and you're setting this gun up, you make sure it doesn't have any cant in it. Okay? All right? And what we mean by cant is this. What I like to do with the gun is this. Get a string or anything that's straight up and down. I get a fat string or a piece of rope. Hang it out maybe 10, 15 yards from a tree or whatever. Put a heavy weight on the other end of it. What's going to happen is this. It's going to really help you with this. You want this thing here to be straight up and down. Okay? So, first of all, you got to level your gun. All right? And I usually level my gun by trying my best to, and there are other ways of doing it. If you can just put a leveler on here, you're set. Pop a leveler on here, and you can level the gun just looking at the bubble. Okay? Once the bubble is level, if you don't have that, you want to go low tech like I used to, take a string and hang it down and put the butt of the gun on it and let it go straight down. You can just look at it and see this is going perfectly down the back of the gun. And at that particular point, you can make your adjustments up here, putting a little piece of paper on it. When that gun is perfectly balanced, now you know it is. You can put the scope on it, look down at the rope, twist your scope until it's perfect straight up and down on that rope, and now you tighten down everything and everything is up. Because a lot of guns, they don't know it, but their scopes are not straight. That thing is not straight up and down, it's canted. And at short distances, 20, 30 yards, it's not going to matter much. But when you start shooting out past 30 yards, that cant is going to make a big difference in where your pellet is actually going versus where you're looking. So you want to keep that in mind. Okay, let's go on to the next section. So, we have a bipod has been added, got our scope added, making sure there's no cant in our scope. Next thing we want to do is we want to take a look at how we're going to carry this thing around the field. So, let's take a look at what we're going to do for that. Alright. Now, for me, what I want to do with this part, and I'll just leave the camera where it is and try and do it from here. When I'm carrying this thing around the field, I want to carry it about right here, okay? I want it to drop right there. I don't want to really bring it up from there and shoot it and drop it back down in here. So I want to find out what is the point of the gun that allows this thing to swing where it will stay in this motion. And I want to find out about where that point is. And once I do find out that point, that drops too far, but I can always hold the gun. And it comes out to be right about here, where my thumb is. Now what I could do is, I could take this pin, put it in here well below this scope, drop it here. It's going to make it a little top heavy to flop, but we don't care about the flop. But if I get this thing somewhere in here, then what's going to happen is my my sling is going to come down there. Now, if I want to drop it further down, I can put it back here by the trigger and have it drop down. It'll be carried more like this, which is okay for me because you can always support it with this hand. So I think in this particular case, I don't want to deal with way up there. I'm not going to put this in there now. But when you see it, it's probably going to be somewhere in this area here, behind all of the gun parts. But in there, where it's either way of a hand, either way of anything I'm going to be doing. And at the same time, I can pop my my one-piece carry on it and carry the gun like this and be able to bring it up and shoot it and bring it back down. But I won't do this in this video. I just wanted to show you how I determine where I want to put this peg for that purpose. So let's go to the last part of this video. Okay, I've cleaned the gun thoroughly now, and it took a bunch of patches, maybe 20, to grease in this barrel. They wanted to make sure that this barrel did not rust at all, because it took a lot to get it down to a clean patch. But one thing you're going to learn about this gun, if you do buy it, do not even consider trying to use any of the unless you just want to do a little work. Forget about using the pull through, okay? Because in order to pull through, you got to remove this to be able to slide this down the barrel and then pull it back out. Okay, this baffle is non-removable. Okay, there's a couple of pins here, one there and one underneath. You got to push out both of these pins with a nail, the perfect size to push it all the way through, because they're in quite tight. Two pins here, and then this front comes off, and then you can have access to try to push this down to it, but it's still going to be kind of difficult because you still got to find the barrel back here. So what you want to do is you want to discard this whole setup that I did in my other video, and you want to go back to the old way of cleaning. You want to get a cleaning rod, because with a cleaning rod and tip with this thing, you can actually get it in there and get it going through without any problem. It's all the way in. Pull it back out. As you can see now, they're white, so I don't have to do any more work on that. And that's how you want to clean it. So for this gun, you want to use the rod, unless you want to deal with putting this on and taking it off. I just suggest it's the best way to go with it. So let's go to the next part of the video. Okay, now we're going to load this thing up, and it comes with a 10-shot magazine. And basically all you're going to do with that is you can go ahead and stick in your first pellet. And then you just rotate it from there. And just continue to drop the pellets in as you rotate it. Okay, once the magazine is loaded, you just with the magazine upright with the pellet in the top of it, not the bottom, you simply slide it into place. Clicks into place, real nice and easy. I'm going to go over and chrono this thing. The first couple of shots, it arrived with PSI, right? 3,000, I'm sorry, PSI. So I'm gonna go over and shoot 3 times on the chrono, and then come back and tell you what it did, rather than move the camera over. Okay, I just chronoed the gun. I shot the 10-shot clips that are in it. I started out at about 2,900 pounds of pressure, and the gun shot all 10 shots between, the lowest one was 791 feet per second, and the highest was 801. So 10-foot spread, that's not bad for a gun that's not regulated. Let me just close this video out by saying that what I wanted to do in this video was a couple of things. I've already reviewed this gun when Ken loaned it to me some time ago. So this is not really a review in terms of me talking about the guns and its shooting speeds and all that sort of thing. What I wanted to do really here was just, one, show you that I found a great deal on it, and you can too. And secondly, to show you the step by step what we do when we get a gun, in order to get it from box to the range, or box to hunting, step by step and every movement. I hope this video is not too long for you. I know I got some complaint for a couple of people that my videos sometimes are too long. I try to keep them short, but I try to make sure that I'm covering everything I think I need to cover in a manner that everyone can understand, and sometimes that takes a little time. But let me just say this, I still like this gun very much, and I want to do a shout out right here to my boy Ken, because what happened was I was sitting there on the couch Sunday night and get a call from Ken, and Ken says, "Hey Aaron, have you heard?" I said, "No, what's up?" He said, "Amazon is selling your gun for $230 shipped." I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah." I go online, and it's true. I said, "Wow, $230." So then I see a thing up there saying if you would apply for a Amazon card, you can get $60 off this thing. Well, I'm applying, and luckily I was accepted, and they gave me $60 off of it. As a result, I got this gun, as I said at the start, for $170. I was really ready to spend up to $250 for it. I don't really want to go over that because I've seen them that cheap before. But again, Black Fridays, for you guys who are looking for a gun, a particular like a gun, take a look around, because I think those people, some of those guns are going to be dropping in price. Secondly, I got a couple of questions about the scopes that I use. I use exclusively one scope on all my guns, and I was influenced by Ted Holdover on that, because when I first started watching him, he was using the UTG side focus that I'm using here, the SWATs. Now me, if you look at my scopes are quite large, and the reason they're quite large is because all my scopes are 56 millimeter up here. They gather a lot of light, they make everything crisp for me, even at low light. I know a lot of guys are saying, you know, the 44 millimeter is a lot lighter. It is, and they make a real short one, and it's a lot lighter to carry around the field. But I'll go with this little extra, I don't know, 3/4 of a pound or whatever it takes over that particular scope, just to have those optics. Now I have three of these. I had them on all three guns. I had the 4-16 on two of the guns, and on my impact I had the 6-24 power. But all of them in the 56 millimeter. And let me just say this too also, talk about the history. And what I mean by history is this. You know, I've been really pushing this gun because it really excited me. And I was excited by the price and the other things that I said before. But one thing I'm going to do is, I'm going to be shooting this gun. I'm trying to shoot it a lot. But if anything goes wrong with this gun at all, I'm posting a video. If anything at all goes wrong with it, because I want full disclosure on this. So if something goes down, I'm going to post it. You know, I did it on my FXs, and both guns broke. And I sent one in to FX USA, and it was repaired, and my impact came back, and it's shooting really, really great. I'm shooting it exclusively now on 177. This gun here is still broken. This is my impact. When I took it apart to try to figure out what the problem was, I took it all apart, put it back together. Now I can't get this, I cannot get the, what is this thing called in here? Regulator. I can't get the regulator to seal for nothing. It just will not seal. I've sent off the FX and they sent me 2 sets of O-rings for it. I put the O-rings in it, wouldn't seal completely. Sealed almost, you could just get a little bit of bubbles come out. But 2 things happened. I'm asking for help on this one. You guys helped me a lot before on it. And I checked out every part of that. These are 2 brand new O-rings, but if you could see them up really, really close, you would see 2 little half moon places where the rubber's gone. When I fired the gun, and then when I looked into the regulator, sticking out the bottom of the regulator, caught up in there, were these little tiny pieces of rubber each time. I don't know what made this thing peel like that. I'm going to be calling FX and saying, you know, it must be defective or something, but both of them did the same thing. And so I've gone out and gotten some Harbor Freight O-rings, hoping to just get it to somewhat seal to see what the matter is. But that gun is still broken. And so, full disclosure, my FXs have gone down. And for those guys who beat me up and said I'm at the beginning, you're selling inferior guns when there's quality guns like FXs out there, well, they're quality. But enough about that. Back to the thing at hand. Love this gun. Glad I got it. Hope you can get one if you want one. And hope you can get a great price on it as I did. So with that, we're going to close this thing down. And I want to thank you guys again, as I always do, for tuning in and for your comments. And especially for those of you who find it in your hearts to subscribe. That's really, really nice. And you know, I accept all comments. I want the criticism. I want everything. I react to everything that's sent to me. And I try to get back to you guys without any malice in my heart, and to tell you exactly where I'm coming from and what I'm trying to do. So, let's just stay safe, and it's cold here, it's winter, so I'm not going to take this thing outside and shoot it because I already did a review on it when it was warmer. But you will see this thing some more in my videos. Thanks again. Have a good one.